Cora runs a magical candle shop, and she's just recently inherited her aunt's prickly familiar, and if that wasn't enough of a headache, her ex-husband is back in town. And the cute guy she just met is under suspicion of murdering his brother with something that he bought in her shop. Hi, I'm Neri. Welcome to Fictional Narrative. Cozy Saturday is back. I took 2 weeks off because I fell off my loft bed because I was dumb enough to get off the wrong side, where there is no ladder, and then I fell on my back at the bottom of the frame, on the frame. Like, the metal frame has like a piece underneath going like this, and I fell like this on top of it. On the right side, at least I'm moving a little better now. I have my heating pad, and I just want to get back to my cozy mysteries and talk about this really, really weird book that started out. But before that, let me take it back a little and talk about Cozy Saturday. That's a series I do where I review a new cozy mystery that I've delved into for the week. Of course, this was actually like 2 weeks ago before I fell and really badly hurt myself. The format of this series is that I give a non-spoiler review, followed by my rating, tell you whether or not I'd continue it, and then give you the spoiler warning and get into the nitty-gritty spoilers. This week I'm reviewing Witchy Whiskers by Danielle Garrett. This is the first in the 9 Lives Magic series, and I know probably based on the synopsis that I just gave you, the intro I just gave you, you're like, surely we have better love interests than the ex-husband, which may be a red flag because he is an ex, and the guy who's a suspect for murder. Well, it's really not as terrible as it sounds. The bigger focus of relationship within this book, I would say, is between Cora and her new familiar Celine, who she inherited from her aunt, under a circumstance in which her aunt has suddenly disappeared. And that's not really a spoiler. We kind of learned that right off the bat. Her aunt is a Rolling Stone. Celine is a cat who is really, really prickly. I mean, at every turn, Cora cannot do a single thing without Celine roasting the heck out of her. And even then, their relationship, their dynamic, and how they start to get to know each other and get along is actually very endearing. This is a paranormal cozy that is one of those that it doesn't just stop at the mystery that it introduces you to. There's a bigger mystery behind it, and I love that. The relationship between Celine and Cora is actually well written in a way that allows us to get into the world building, understanding the magic without it being too overwhelming and without one person kind of hand-holding the other. As a familiar, I think when we think of familiars, we think of somebody as a partner or a guide for the character, but Cora by herself is already a witch who has honed in on her element and her craft. Is there more that she could learn and more that she could do and more knowledge that Celine has? Sure, because she's worked with a different witch before. However, none of that means that Cora isn't a witch who can stand on her own. She absolutely is. Also, we get a lot about the candle shop in the very beginning, about how that candle magic works, what it can invoke, all those feelings that can make it extra cozy. And so the premise of the murder suspect purchasing something from her shop and then ends up becoming a murder suspect is really jarring in a way. A lot of Cora's candles are meant to be really positive, you know? So I understand her curiosity and why she would be like, why is this happening to me? She's not being suspected by any means, but obviously this being news is not good for business either. Cora herself is also a very likable main character. There are things that she's insecure about, but for the most part, she's kind of just comfortable in her skin. She knows who she is and she works with that, which I really appreciate. That being said, having to now adjust to Celine, it's very different for her, and it's different for Celine. I just really love the building of their relationship and all the little things that come with it. And while I do think that the love interest that we are presented with makes it seem like it's slim pickings out here for Cora. I will say that the author took the time to allow the character to build bond and some chemistry. I personally haven't fallen head over heels for one of the male main leads or the other. But for me, it was the joy of seeing Cora respond to that, think it through, not get too carried away, but do what's best for her. And I love that as a growth. And the world building in this book in general, from just the first book, from just the introduction to this, I really like it. I think there's a lot to explore here. And with an introduction story, we don't really get too much into that, but it gives me something to hold on to, and so that's why I think I will be continuing with this series. But before we move on way too quick, I do want to talk about some non-spoilery negatives that I found. I thought Cora was a little too trusting, like, yeah, girl, trust your gut, but sometimes you don't want to trust your gut that much. She's in a situation where she can see herself out of it if she wants, but she is invested in the mystery itself. I would have just liked to see maybe a little bit more in terms of self-preservation or worrying about her own safety. I also wish I knew from the world building in this book how magic is kept secret. Early on in the book, we find that humans and, magical creatures can live together. We share the earth, I guess, but it's kept a secret. And then there are pockets of areas that's just mainly people who are, I guess, magical folk and not people who are non-magical folk. So I kind of wish I knew how that was really kept a secret, because I feel like there's got to be somebody out there at some point in time making a couple too many mistakes. So I rated this book a 4 out of 5. I actually really loved it. It was really endearing, and yes, I can't wait to continue it because I think I want to explore more, and given that there's an even bigger mystery behind it, not just in the world, but things that Cora has to deal with, I want to know what happens next. Okay, so now I'm going to move into the spoilery part of this review. So this is your warning. Ready? And we're moving into the positives. First of all, there is a magical fight. Like, she actually uses magic in here to fight off our villain. There are spells that allow you to speak to the dead, and in the world building, there are certain reasons why you can speak to certain people who are dead and why you can't, and I think that is such a cool thing. Not very close to necromancy. I love, love, love when any kind of paranormal or fantasy or whatever deals with the topic of necromancy. I think it's a very cool magic to talk about. This wasn't it, but it was a little bit more than a seance because you could actually see the dead person, and they have their own personalities, and they get bored and they talk to you and they leave you, etc. It was actually really fun to go through what it takes to make that spell and all the different characters that you're talking to. Like, there's no reason why somebody is dead needs to be cooperative with you, even if you're solving their murder. But I just thought that was like a cute little gem to add in. On the other hand, we're not given, in terms of this mystery, the full answer that allows us to be like, oh, well, this is easy. Just talk to the dead person and then you'll know who killed them, and then end of. No, because it goes into, well, this person died this way, and so they can't remember these things that happened to them. It's just these little things that I really love. On the topic of the fact that the magical world is kind of kept secret, or people that have magic keep that a secret, there are also other species within this world. How are they kept? Like, I just want to know so much more. I think it's cool, but I want to understand. In terms of the mystery, I do feel that it would have been more compelling if there were, if there was a team instead of a singular person committing the crime, because I would better understand the motive. To the extent of the people involved, we have a wife of the deceased, we have the brother of the deceased, and we have the business partner of the deceased. I feel like there was a way to kind of combine these to make the mystery more compelling. It's weird to say sometimes that making this a little bit less simple would have added something, but it really truly is that in this particular story. I also found the discussion of, like, our murder victim and the suspect, they're brothers. They are businessmen. The business is very vague. They don't work together. The murder suspect mainly works with non-magical humans. He's not very well versed. He has some magic, but he's very bad at it. He is like bad at it in the way that, like, I can speak Vietnamese at home, but if I speak Vietnamese outside with other people, I suddenly lose my very limited amount of vocabulary. Like, he's not good at it. Actually, no, I think I'm probably better at speaking Vietnamese than he is at magic. Their business, because the brother has a business partner, very vague. We hear about some things that they did. It either turned out or it didn't turn out. A lot of times for the brother, it just didn't turn out. The murder victim, that is, it didn't turn out. The murder suspect is a better businessman, but I don't know too much about, like, I can't, like, nothing stuck to my memory about what he did. So I feel like that could have been more concrete in detail. Also, there's a book club, but it's more like a get-together type of thing, which I don't begrudge, but I also find it to be a weird device for the author to use because, you know, it's a book club with people. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't show up. So when our victim's wife shows up, and Cora's like, have I seen her before? Has she, like, been here before? I think she's been here a couple times because she goes to the book club with her best friend. I don't know that necessarily would have been the way to go about introducing the wife. I think there's a lot of other ways to do that, and ultimately it's not like, it's one of those things that's like, it was there, but I don't think it was absolutely necessary. Much like the ex-husband was there, I don't think he was necessary. Even in terms of being development for Cora, he really didn't do much. And he should learn some boundaries. So I definitely really recommend this because I think in terms of the world building, in terms of the character of the author, Danielle Garrett really gave me something to sink my teeth into, something to think about, something to be like, I wonder what the next big adventure is. I want to know more about the magic in this realm. I want to know more about Cora. I want to know more about what Celine knows. There's a lot to come back for. We do get a little bit at the end where Cora is making a candle as well. So I thought that was a cool bit to add. And I would love to see her do it more rather than just, oh, we know that she makes them and we know that she runs the shop. But to see her do it and to talk about the magic that goes into it, what is the intention, I just thought it was really cool. If you're into world building like that, if you like the little things that just add up to something that you can get really excited about, this is definitely a book that I recommend. So yeah, maybe I'll do a cozy Saturday follow-up on this one, because maybe I just will, just because the thought of it makes me excited. But yeah, if you've watched it this far, thank you so much. Thank you for being patient with me and my injury. If you do enjoy this series, I've really enjoyed making this series throughout the year and talking about these cozy mysteries. So yeah, I will definitely see you next week for another cozy Saturday. Thanks for watching. Bye.